This episode of The Lab Inside the Game Industry is brought to you by Midwest Games. Live from New Jersey, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Green Bay, Wisconsin, this is The Lab. With your alchemists, Angel Guevara and Greg Posner. Tonight's special event, highlights from GDC 2025, and Lab News with Cassandra Liu. Tonight on The Lab, Inside the Game Industry.
We have an invisible host here. All right. Well, we're waiting for Cassandra. Angel, welcome back. It's only been a week and change, and here we are, right back to where we started.
Yes, sir.
I don't want too much thunder here from our special guest host, who's also lab partner, Cassandra, whose videos decided to stop working here in the last second here, but there she is.
There she is.
Hey, I am back. Hey guys, how are ya?
We are good.
Awesome. Good to
How's it
hear.
going, Cass?
I'm doing good. I'm very excited for today's episode. I haven't seen you guys for a while. I miss you guys, and I'm excited for today's discussion about GDC.
We
All right,
missed you
let's
too.
get it.
Oh, the whole lab team was hanging out. Well, not the whole lab.
Yeah.
50% of us. The other 50% could hang out in a couple of weeks. But we missed you guys too. How are you all?
Dude, doing great. GDC was a very interesting experience. We're going to dive more into that in a little bit, guys, but GDC was just something else. How about you guys?
How about you, Greg? I'm curious because you just got back as well.
Yeah, I actually took the red eye home Thursday night, so I missed the last day of GDC. So Angel can fill us in on those details, but I feel like it was great to be back face to face with people. It's been a long time, at least from my perspective. Between gaming conferences, the big ones, right? Your GDCs, your game comms are like 6 months apart. So, you do virtual meetings, and we talked about this in the pre-meeting, and you do all this conversation with people, and we talk all the time. But when you see someone face to face again, it's like a world of difference. It's like I don't know what it's like. You don't put on a mask anymore because you're not hidden behind the camera screen. And meeting people like Augustine, who's from all the way from the other side of the world, right? From Japan, Tokyo, or somewhere over there. Sorry, man, I should know this better. To
Taiwan.
people who were in Latin America, right? From a lot of our friends in Eastern Europe, because there's a lot of gaming out there. It's just so cool to be able to be in San Francisco. The weather was great. Angel might think otherwise since he's from a little bit of a warmer area, but it was great. There was minimal rain, and it was just really a great experience.
That's
Yes.
awesome to hear. Awesome. Yeah, so well, I can't wait to discuss more with you guys in a moment. So, but first I want to thank you so much thank you for the audience who showed up today. Thank you so much for all your support. Yeah, give a huge yay or W, right? Awesome. And then also I wanted to if you're a new viewer, please subscribe. That's the best support from you guys is subscribe. So there's always like if we have any new event, we're always trying to bring you the most interesting content. So if you subscribe, you'll always get the earliest alert about this. And second, I want to again shout out to our sponsor, Midwest Games. I wanted to highlight again their new shadowing publishing service. So if you're a studio, if you're looking for any type of publishing service, they offer very flexible and accessible different kind of service. I suggest you to reach out to them. They're very friendly, they're a very professional team. Yeah, so thank you so much, Midwest Games. All right, so today's episode is a special episode again. We are talking about the week after GDC, right? And today I am going to be the interviewer. I'm going to interview my co-host, Greg and Angel, all about everything I'm curious about GDC. And for the audience, if you have any question for Greg and Angel, please leave in the comment area. We will pick up your answer. We will hear all about it from Angel and Greg. Awesome. Great. So, all right. So let's just dive right in.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So, well, first of all, have you guys met in person? Greg and Angel.
Oh yeah, we definitely did. Actually, by the way, guys, this is the first time that Cassandra is kind of like the main host. She's doing a fantastic job. So Cass, keep it up, keep it up. Yes. So to answer your question, yes, I met Greg in person. I believe on was it Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday we met at both the meetup as well as before the meetup.
Yeah, exactly. And let me tell you guys, let me tell you something. Greg, contrary to popular belief, Greg is not a giant. He's a regular sized human being. He's not a giant. Just letting you guys know. But no, dude, it was really interesting because, meeting people in person, it's so different than meeting people online. Because when you meet online, you're in front of a monitor. Like, yeah, you can tell, like, kind of like the way the people are and their personality. But when you are in person and like you feel their aura, their atmosphere, and you talk to them, you see their reactions, it's a completely different thing. And dude, when I met Greg in person, I'm like, oh shit, this is my co-host. And we vibed immediately. Then we had the lab hangout in Yerba Buena Park, and it was cool, dude. I'm so happy I met Greg. And to answer Sword Brother Sorius, no, Greg is not the Doomslayer.
Not yet. Maybe really come off as that big. I should be like that in real life as well. I feel like that would be a big difference as an RPG character. Like, hey, he actually looks big. I don't know. Angel was amazing, man. The dude, first of all, has such a bright red suit, and it's such a smart thing to do. You just pop out in a crowd, and when you're in a group of so many people, and you're just like, "Hey, I'm the guy wearing the jacket over here." No one can find the guy wearing the jacket over there. But if you're wearing the red jacket, all of a sudden you stand out, and Angel just feels like energy, right? So it's always good to have an ally at events like this, even if you don't hang out with your ally the whole time, right? It's sometimes even best to divide and conquer, right? Because there's so much happening at all times, right? He's going to his events, and I know he's big in the Latinx and gaming type of stuff, right? And I'm big in the community clubhouse side of things, right? So again, it's the idea of dividing and conquering, and this is why you create this network, right? Because with the network effect, it's not just 1 + 1 = 2; it's 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 or 5, right? Depending on how so strategy for future, right? Again, would have been good to talk about this beforehand, is divide and conquer, especially when you're a team, because that's what teams are all about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw the comment area. He really did stand out at GDC with that suit. On here, you have to wear that suit one day on the show, so that I
Like,
can.
yeah, 100%. Like, guys, all right. Like, as you know, I work in marketing. I gotta stand out, right? And what better way than to wear like a bright red suit? Like, they'll
Mhm.
remember you for sure, bro. Like, and I'm telling you, people have been like, send me messages on LinkedIn, like, "Oh, you're the guy with the red suit." I'm like, that me.
Oh, so it is a strategic move. So you choose that suit to stand out.
Yes, I mean, look, Cass, I know, I come across as, like a little chaotic. I do some things, but everything is planned. There's always a plan behind the chaos. So there is a
Mm,
reason.
very smart, very smart. Yeah, that's a good tip too. Everybody listens, always stand out, use a little, like you use the color, right? Use the clothing and everything. Yeah. So on here, question for you then.
Yes.
Like specifically for you. I know this is your first year going to GDC. How was experience like for you for the first time?
Yeah, Cass, that's a very good question. And let me read the comments real quick. So we have Sword Brother Sorius, which is Ethan. Ethan, what's up, dude? He said yes, he really did stand out at GDC with that suit. Yes. Considering your username, I'm kind of surprised that you didn't bring a straw hat. So great. Ethan, the thing is, bro, straw hat, like that one that I have here, like it's cool and all, but like airlines are so restrictive, right? Like I came with my backpack and such, so to bring that all the way to San Francisco and back, like it doesn't fit in the backpack. It's annoying. So I'm like, nah, dude, that's cool. But
Excuses,
shout out,
man. Excuses.
hey
Yeah.
man, just telling you how it is. But Ethan was a really awesome ally. He was there for us. Went to the events. We hang out together. So shout outs to Ethan. To answer your question, Cass,
Mhm.
it's interesting because I don't have any like how would you say? I don't have like a precedent memory when it comes to like gaming events. I've never been to MDev. I've never been to like Comic Con or any of those places. So I just went with an open mind and it was cool. Like honestly, it was people were complaining like, oh, it wasn't as packed as last year or it wasn't as impactful. That doesn't mean anything to me because I don't have previous experience, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was solid. The people that were there were super friendly, very willing to talk to you, even though they were like CEOs or people in like high positions of power. Everyone was like super welcoming, super open. Like never did I meet a person that was like, oh, I don't want to talk to you or I don't want to like exchange LinkedIn. Like everyone was super chill. As long as you're polite and you're willing to like network, do your best, be cool, and add some value into their lives, like everyone's open. So for me, GDC was a total W. That's my opinion.
That's awesome to hear the great, like the positive right from it. Definitely a positive experience for you. Then like okay, so the question flow now to back to Greg because I know you. I also hear from just from on here. He just said some people said the GDC, like was not what is it like was not like big enough. Like is this like there's a little negative comment right like about GDC. So I would love to hear from Greg because you've been to GDC many times. And then how's this GDC for you?
Yeah, I tend to think that this year's GDC was kind of a rebuilding year, and I think the industry knows they're in rebuilding mode, and I think it's important to recognize that last year's GDC was kind of a bummer. This was during a very tough time in the industry, as we all know. There was lots of layoffs. There's lots of money in the industry still, so you still saw big things happening, but it was kind of by the few big giants that are in the gaming industry. For example, last year Unreal had a huge booth. Unity had a huge booth. This year they didn't have booths at all. So I think this year the companies, I feel like it would have been a bad look if companies had big things this year at GDC, considering where we are in the industry. That said, I think there's starting to become a little more optimism. I think this is my own personal thought, is that this is still going to be a tough year in gaming. There's still going to be layoffs. There's still going to be growing pains. AI is going to make their mark on what's ever going to happen. But I think people can kind of start seeing, all right, well, money is starting to come back into the industry. We're going to start to see this thing again soon. It's going to be
Yeah.
a slower rebuild. But with all that being said, this year I feel like it may have been a little smaller, but I think that was a positive thing. I think the connections people made were deeper connections. I feel like the events that went on were very well put together, and it was great for networking. And I think again the industry will come through together as a whole stronger. I think again this was a positive step forward compared to the previous GDCs, and I think we're just going to grow on from there.
Awesome. Gotcha. That's very great insights. Right. So yeah, I also wanted to know that I know like people do different things at GDC. Some people go to events, some people go to session to learn, some people network. And I want to hear from both of you like what did you guys like spend most time on? Right? Like any interesting events you guys attended to?
Greg, you can go first.
Yeah, so 3 big events I think I've did was Community Clubhouse, which we spoke about. Just kind of I'm seeing some of my old colleagues there. There's some great content put together from community managers to understand what's going on with community on that side of things, and just kind of trust and safety. Went to the Epic Games party, which was a very good, interesting party. It was fun. And we did a couple just events around the actual Moscone Center. So going into some different areas ahead, whether it be in the park, just a hangout with maybe groups that were hiring, or some bars where just kind of meeting up with some fellow game designers. There was a lot going on, but I think the ones that really stand out were Community Clubhouse and the Epic Party. How about you, Angel? Get into anything dangerous?
Wait, Greg, I have a question. Was the Epic Games party epic or not?
So I made that joke at the party to some random girl that was sitting next to me, and she went, "I work for the company. This party's unreal." And I was like, "Oh my god, that was so amazing, so great." She threw it back at me.
Yes, that's the gaming industry, right? We're all
Oh my
quirky.
God.
Let's go.
She quickly left the party right after that and just said, "This is not my scenes."
Dang, that's crazy. Anything dangerous, bro? Okay, so, Cass, to answer your question, since I didn't have any previous experience for GDC,
Right.
my image was sort of like people would go to like panels, listening to like speeches, network and such. That I kind of thought that that's gonna be like my whole experience there. I went to one panel.
Uh-huh.
That's it. And it was cool, but I think the action takes place outside of the panels in Yerba Buena Park, in the events, in the cafes, in the hotel lobbies as well. If you something that I would recommend someone who will go to GDC next year is intentionality is very important. So if you're gonna go to GDC, have a clear intention. Mine was I want to find new clients for Joy Boy, which is my creative agency, and I want to connect with Japanese gaming professionals. And I did, easy peasy, because I had an intention. I knew exactly what to do, and I just went for it. In terms of events, since I was very targeted towards like Japanese companies, they had 2 Japan specific events. One was the Japan Night, which was on Tuesday evening, and they had a bunch of Japanese companies. They have Capcom, PlayStation, people from Nintendo were there, and it was super fun. I was speaking Japanese, and they were like, so I was like, yeah, that's what I want to hear, dude. And it's super fun. Very grateful for that. A lot of great connections. And then on what was it, Thursday evening, or was it Wednesday? Either one of those. I think it was Thursday evening. There was a Jetro is kind of like the organization, the Japanese government organization that kind of like pushes Japanese businesses like to the outside world. And they had a bunch of like gaming studios there, and I saw a lot of pitches. I talked to people, networked, and got some potential clients. We'll see how it goes, but it was definitely a very positive experience. I think usually we tend to be like here in America, we tend to be a little bit like America centric, like, oh, the gaming industry is just the US, but there's a lot of awesome things happening in Poland, for example, I had a very awesome conversation with a bunch of like Polish developers in East Asia as well. And my boy Ethan, shout out to Ethan. He's in the chat right now. He
Mhm.
was networking with people from Tencent. He was wearing like a Son Wukong cosplay, talking to Chinese developers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Is like there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, I'll go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that's great. That's great. That's awesome. Like yeah, like any other like event, like I know like you're specifically looking for those, right? And then any surprise pop up, like anything like you didn't expect, right? Like and just suddenly it's like, oh my god, like I like like surprises you happened.
Yes, 100%. So, I had the pleasure to meet Ben Qualo, the CEO from Midwest Games. Shout outs to Ben.
Mhm.
If you're watching, Ben, thank you for the picture, bro. And then, but they had like a breakfast event at one of the hotels. I got lost. I couldn't find the event, and I'm like, oh, what the hell, dude? It was like in the Four Seasons, like around the Four Seasons. Couldn't find the event. No problem. I went into the Four Seasons lobby, and I got into the elevator, and three people came in. They started
Mhm.
speaking Japanese, and then when the elevator stopped, the doors opened, and I push the button to like keep the doors open. And I told them like, oh, dozo, which means like, oh, please go ahead in Japanese. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, and they're like,
Oh.
oh, thank you. And then they went their ways. As I went out, one of the gentlemen, he came back and he's like, oh, what's your name? Oh, my name is Angel. Oh, what do you do? I have this creative agency. Oh, yeah, I would love to connect with you. He gave me his business card, and this guy was like the director of investment for SNK, which is a very big Japanese company. They do like King of Fighters, Fatal Fury. I believe Saudi Arabia owns like a big portion of this company. But
Mhm.
like this is
Wow.
GDC. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like it's random.
I know. Look at that. Anything can happen, right? You never know who you meet, right?
Yeah, so I would say that was like one of the craziest stories, but yeah. And after that, Latinx gaming event, that was fun, connecting with people. And just when it comes to networking, familiarity is very important. So if
Mhm.
people see you all the time, walking around the park, getting some tea, and they see you day and day, you create that familiarity, and maybe you will create a bond, right?
Mhm.
And to
Mhm.
kind of build on what he's saying there, right? This happens at almost every show and every conference, right? On hell, you might go to Gamescom, you might go to PAX West, you might go to GDC next year, and you're going to see some of these same faces again, and you're going to start to learn like, hey, these are the recognizable faces I'll see from time to time again. And then all of a sudden, that bond just becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and again, it becomes that network effect, which is kind of the goal of what you want to do in the positions that we're in.
That's
Totally.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, glad to hear that you made like great connection throughout this event. And Greg, I want to follow up with you because I just heard that like familiarity, right? So did you meet anyone that your friend like you haven't connected and you run into them, or did you have a chance to meet new people?
I'm all the above. One of my friends I originally met at GDC 3 years ago or 4 years ago, a kid by the name of Sam. I introduced him to Angel. He came to the lab event, and we go from event to event. We know we're going to see each other there. We plan on meeting up, and he's one of those guys that I know would be eyeballs for me at one party. If the party I'm at's lame, and vice versa, right? We'll hit each other up. I met a lot of cool people. I did a podcast with the former CEO of PlayStation, of Sony Interactive Entertainment of America. His name's Sean Layden. So he and I did a podcast out there, which was really cool, and just being able to hear insights from someone that's that high up in the industry. I got to meet with some of the executives at EA. There were just a lot of cool meetings that I never thought I'd see myself in, and I was just sitting there like a fly in the wall for some of them, trying to be a sponge. And it's just some really cool things that can happen out there when you're talking with the right people, making the right connections. And again, it kind of sucks that it has to be at events like this, but it
Mhm.
really does make a difference when you're at an event like this. Again, it's just face to face, especially like Angel and I are coming from a world of consulting, right? And we're trying to grow our business. And
Mhm.
in a place like this, quite frankly, you don't even need a ticket to GDC to get value in that. You need to be in San Francisco downtown. Same thing with Gamescom. Having a ticket's fun because you do want to see the floor, but when you're trying to grow a consulting type of business, being outside, being at the areas, being at the restaurants, the bars, that's what you need. If you're creating a game and you need to meet the right partners and you need to meet the right people who make games, then you definitely want to be on the floor because that's where all those people are hanging out. Like if we were to talk to our Monday, right? And I don't know if he's watching tonight, right? Monday's showing off his game, and I'd love to hear more about his experience because we stopped by his booth. And I know on Hell you were at his booth. Like it looked awesome. People were playing the game, people were loving it. He got tons of feedback. His
Mhm.
show, as equally successful as maybe all our shows were, is completely different than ours. And I'd love to understand it from his eyeballs and his brain, like how things went. And maybe that's a follow up we need to get. But I don't know how I got on this tangent, so I'm just going to stop this tangent.
That's awesome. Now I see why like you always like go back to GDC because like it sounds like there's so much like potential like in terms of like people you're gonna meet or the opportunity, right? Yeah, and then I think my next question will be because I just kind of like to understand the event people. Now I want to know the game, right? Like I know maybe you guys didn't spend tons of time like on the floor because you guys were like socially and networking. I wanted to know, but it's like while you're walking through the GDC, do you see something like some new game or some new technology or some like news that pop up to you that stands out to you?
Yeah. How you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off?
Sure, let me go ahead and do it. But
Yeah.
Cass, I wanted to ask you first.
Mm-hmm.
How come you didn't go, bro? What happened?
This year when well, okay, so like for all of our funding, marketing and funding, we're all going to to developing our game, right? And then when we think about it, it's like, oh, I hope that we have a booth. We hope like like we have something, like we have to strategically plan our time and then funding. So we're definitely thinking about next year. And then when we actually thinking about it, the early bird ticket already gone. So that's the reason. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but
No, you're good. Definitely next year, right?
yeah, totally.
All right. In terms of games, it's interesting because, as Greg mentioned before, I think we tend to be very focused on the here and now, in the sense that, which is a good thing sometimes, but if the situation is bad, we tend to be like, it's going to be bad forever. Or if the situation is good, we tend to be like, it's going to be good forever. But things go in cycles, right? Like the industry crashed in 1983, then it was a boom. It's like boom and bust. It's kind of like the economy, right? And what I saw from games this year was, I think the lines between like double A, indie, and all those stuff, it's kind of blurring. I saw a lot of amazing indie games that looked super polished, amazing art style, a great gameplay. Honestly, I think that's the future right there. I think right now it's kind of like a transition period. Things are kind of like, kind of like taking shape. But in the future, I think we're going to see a bunch of amazing indie games from all over the world. I saw the Poland, how do you call that, like exhibition or whatever. A lot of interesting games coming out. The Japan one as well. Chile was there, Brazil, Spain. Like, I think we're gonna see more indie games that definitely will have that amazing level of quality. So AAA, better watch it because the indies are coming. That's it.
Yeah.
And team. I'm mixed on that feeling on Hell. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would tell you indies are going to be the savior of the industry. But I also think there's going to be so many indies that come out that they're going to start to consume and eat itself alive. And I think, in terms of funding, if you're creating a game right now, getting anything under $1 million is a fairly easy thing to do. If you know the right people, you can make the right calls, and some major VCs just kind of throw money around. If it's between 5 and 8 million, this is just the VCs that I spoke to, they said they're very wary of taking games that are in that's what we call double A kind of it's in that range. And there's a lot of great games in that double A range that just won't see the light of day. If you think about kind of back to the Nintendo 64 days, the PlayStation days, like there's a lot of AA games that came out, and they came out all the time. And AAA is just a lot of money to make. So I think indies are in a tough. I think there'll be a few that stand out, like we saw the past few years, whether it be Balatro or Dave the Diver. Right, that there are still ways to stand out, but there's a lot of indie games. So my one fear of indies would be, how do you stand out? How do you make sure that you don't just eat each other alive? Because there's so many. When you go into the Steam store, you're one of how many games in Steam? How often is a game coming out in Steam? So what do you do to stand out? It's kind of a weird place to be. And again, I think the industry is going to start shaking itself out and figuring out what makes sense. I think some of these smaller studios will start to put their brain power together to make something a little bigger, something a little stronger, something a little better. And I think the best option would be to create games quickly, because if you look at a AAA title, it's taking 4 to 5 years to build. But if you could do something sooner, something quicker, you might be able to find something in the market.
Yeah, if you guys want to know how to stand out, please call me at Joy Boy, and I got you guys. I'll wear the red suit for you, and we'll make it happen. I got you for marketing. But yeah, that's definitely a great concern. I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
As long as you wear the
Yeah.
red suit.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I'm just curious, because like following up, because I definitely see, like, like on you just mentioned that you are seeing a lot of like indie game coming out, right? So I was really curious, like how's the indie game presence there at GDC? Like, do you see a lot, or do you see more like AAA stuff? Like,
Yeah, you mostly see indie games there.
Mhm.
There's a whole section, probably, I don't know, like 100 feet by 100 feet. I don't know sizes
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things. That's all just indie games, right? And that's where you found Monday. That's where you found other studios. I talked to a company, Nice Gang. Their game looked really cool, right? All indie studios are really kind of put in that area, and you can just stop by, play their game. It's awesome. Then there's a whole another section, not as big. That's, I forgot what the terminology was, maybe on Helen remembers, but it's games that have different, or it's like alt keyboard type of game. So you don't use a keyboard. It's like, one of them was like a shower, and I think you had to clean the shower, and you had to like do that. And one of them, I don't know, there's some wild games that are really fun to play, but
Yeah.
you just need a different type of controller for it.
yeah, that's very interesting. It's great to hear, because like, like as an indie game developer, it's always good to hear that, like they like value indie game, and they have space for
Yeah.
indie game. Right?
Fisher Floor, thanks, man. They got me covered with Alt Control. That was the name of that area. So it's funny, at these events, you actually don't see AAA games that easily. You really, GDC is really a B2B type of conference, and it's
Mhm.
built to be B2B. So if you're seeing a AAA game, it's because you got an invite for the most part to a AAA studio to see it behind closed doors. You can still see some here or there, but it's much harder to see a AAA game than it is an indie game.
Definitely. But by the way, guys, Fishy Floor is my friend Jessica, who I met at GDC as well. Jessica, thank you for joining.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for joining.
And Augustine's not here today, huh? Because I would
must
love
be
to
tired,
pick
bro.
Augustine's brain too, because Tokyo Game Show is a players first conference, and GDC is a business to business conference. And I'm curious from his perspective how it felt differently, because players first conferences are built very differently. They're built to funnel people in from one end to the other end, so people can go through, whereas a studio or a conference like GDC is built more like an IKEA. Like, once you get in, you're in there. Like, you don't want to leave. Like, because if you're in my booth, I want to sell something to you. So you sit down and you get comfortable. So they're built very differently. And I'd love to hear Augustine, whenever he gets back from probably still flying home, to let us know how the differences stack up to him.
Totally. So you guys met, right? Like, you met Augustine too?
Yeah, I think Angel and Augustine became some good friends, hanging out all throughout San Francisco.
Heck
That's
yeah,
awesome.
dude. That's my boy right there.
I hope he's doing well with all that, jet lag. It's long hours.
Yeah, he said it was like 12 hours from San Francisco to Taipei, so it took a while.
Yeah, and then you go straight to GDC, and it's like very overwhelming with all the people, right?
Yeah. But he made it, right? I think, okay, I understand people might say like, oh, GDC is a little bit expensive. There's a lot of hurdles to attend, and I do see what they're saying. But there's definitely there's a value to it. I think you can definitely do GDC on a budget, And I think Agustin definitely like he made it all the way from Taiwan. He knew how to like book like a affordable hotel, transportation,
Mhm.
such, and he did it. So, guys, if you have a chance to go to GDC next year, you can do it on a budget. Go, 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 go.
Yeah, it totally makes sense because I'm like, oh, Austin can make it all the way from Taiwan, right? Like I can do it too. I'm just in Chicago.
Yeah,
All
hundred
these,
percent.
right? Yeah,
Exactly.
that's very cool. Awesome. Yeah. So and then like very interesting because like Greg and Ahil, you were just talking about you guys come from the consulting side, right? Like more like consulting side. Like so I was wondering like from from your business point of view, like did you see like a overall like trend or like like is is this GDC change anything of how you view games future, game industry's future? Or like how you operate business wise?
Ooh, that's a great question.
I'll kick it off if you
Okay.
don't mind, Angel, since you
Yeah,
put some
do it,
thought into
bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm starting off my consulting now, right? And this is kind of a new step for me. I've been in gaming for over 10 years, right? But I've always worked for a large gaming company. So I think what this GDC did was help me reassure what I can speak comfortably about, how I can help provide value to the companies or the studios I'm speaking to. It's also easier for me to identify gaps that kind of exist in the market from where they are. I deal a lot with player engagement, making sure players
Mhm.
understand what the experience is like, making sure that they're supported and handled properly, making sure communities can grow. And I definitely saw a great need for that there. And you can talk to anyone. I think community and the whole idea of marketing has changed. I know Angel probably senses that same feeling, how it's not like the old days where you just put an ad up on Google or Facebook, right? You have to start creating more compelling content. You have to get in front of communities. You have to start growing and nurturing them from an earlier stage. So I think just talking to studios and some of them not recognizing this makes you like gives you that light bulb moment, like, oh, ding, like
Yep.
there's
Yep.
something there. I can do this.
Yeah, 100%. I would say if you have a consulting business or you want to go to like GDC or another event and get some clients, again, intentionality and have a very like specify who exactly do you want to approach? What's your business? Who can you talk to? There's a lot of amazing people at GDC, but for example, if you have a business and you want to network, is your time talking to like students, for example? Is it wise to network with students rather than people who own businesses?
Mhm.
You know, I would say that. And find your niche. Find your niche. I think, okay, I'm an optimist. I think there's always a way. There is always a way. I understand there's difficulties, the reality of the situation. I get it, but you can find your niche. There's always a way. And there's so many markets, dude. Like, for example, if you speak Polish or you have like Ethan, he has an interest in like Korean culture or Chinese
Mhm.
culture. Go ahead and talk to them. Like, there's, in my humble opinion, and this is not factual, this is just me, my philosophy. I think there's room for everyone. There's definitely room for everyone. So go ahead and find your niche, 100%. And rather than, I would say something really cool that you guys can do is nurture relationships first and then sell, or sell gradually. What do I mean by that? Let's say you meet someone who might be a potential client and be like, hey, let's have some tea. So instead of having like a pitch deck and be like, oh, this is my business right away, be like, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's get some tea. Let's see how it goes. And then go from there. This is something that I learned in Japan. That's kind of like how they do businesses in East Asia and in Latin America as well. It's all about those connections. It's all about nurturing them first. If you guys can do that, then you will see how your businesses will boom because people will hire you because of you. The question is, how do you stand out, right? In this sea of people. Metaphorically speaking, you got to wear the red suit. And if
Yes.
you fight against AI, right? Oh, I have this fear AI will replace me. Will it though? If people hire you for you, will AI replicate your personality? Like, guys, we got this. We got this. This is 100% winnable.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I'm also thinking like Ethan's coming in, like Ethan, we can definitely think about it because we both live in like Illinois, right? Like we can probably all go together. Um, cool. So like and then also for all the audience who's watching right now, if you have any question for Hill and Greg, please leave in the comment area. We'll definitely answer those. Right. And then I think like I'm approaching to, like because I went through all the question about, like the people you met, the event you go to. Now I just want to have ask about a overall vibe, right? Like if you like trying to rate this experience like overall, like I know it's like positive, but like give me a kind of like a overall comment and overall vibe. How do you feel about just the past week, right? Like
Ooh, like a vibe check.
a vibe check, yes.
All right, definitely. Before that, Ethan actually commented in the chat. He said, even though my main niche is level design, I found out that I really enjoyed video editing after going through grad school, and video editing has helped me pay the bills. Okay, Ethan, I see you. Greg, do you want to take this question first? Cass's question.
Vibe check after GDC, I'd say is positivity. I think it's what's I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Like, yeah, W. It's like you have to be real, level-headed, right? And it's going to be a little time before we're out of the rough here, right? But it's definitely positive vibes in the industry. I think people understand the challenges that they're facing better now, and they have a better plan on how to tackle these challenges. They know just because you own the rights to a specific IP doesn't mean you're going to make $1 million or $1 billion. I guess is more important these days on this IP, right? People are starting to realize that just because you have an MBA doesn't mean you know how to make a game, and gamers are starting to take gaming back. But I think people also realize that there's going to be this uphill struggle, right? They have to get people to stop making developers make games that they don't want to make, like live ops games, right? Don't force a square peg into a round hole. And I think again, people are noticing these trends in the industry. I think we're in for a fun next few years. I think it's going to be tough. I think there's developers from all around the world that are all on the same playing field now. They're all making great games. As Angel was saying, great games come from all over the place. We need more people to make these games, but new genres will come out, new stuff will come out. I think after GDC, everyone feels positive, and I think the everything's on the up and up. But I still think we just have to be cautiously optimistic.
Great answer. And I love the answer for cautiously optimistic. Lovely.
Exactly. Awesome. For my vibe check, I would say, again, I don't have like a past memory of GDC, so I'm not really sure how it was before. But for me, I agree with Greg. It was positive. I definitely, you see a lot of people who are laid off, unfortunately, people looking for a job, but their vibe was positive. They're like, hey, I love being here. I love games. I want to work in the industry more. I would say, guys, if you were in GDC, I really admire you. I admire everyone that was there, because even though they were going through difficult times, they went there. They talked to executives. They tried to find a job. Like, they put in the work, and that's admirable. I think games are some of the few like industries that people like will do anything for to make games. Right? There's this desire, this drive to create in the gaming industry, and when you go there and you meet those people, you feel it. It's like, oh, these people are real. Like there's a humanity behind them, behind their drive to create. And like Greg said, cautiously optimistic. I agree with that. But at the same time, in my personal opinion, it's sort of like, I'm just happy people where they're doing their best. Like, that's amazing. That's just admirable. Just seeing people flying from wherever just to talk to other people and connect. That's amazing. For me personally, I would say it's all about like positive nihilism. And I don't know if you guys like nihilism is kind of like the belief like nothing really matters in a way, but in a positive way. Like, just try it, bro. Let's see how it goes. Why not? Like, just freaking go and try. If it fails, it fails. But if it doesn't, cool, right? Like, honestly, this GDC, my first one, it was amazing. Everyone was super welcoming. We had fun. It was positive. I met awesome people. What else? What else can you expect? Like, what else can you ask for? Like, it's people being real. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, totally, totally. You guys both give like great answer, profound and great answers. Lovely, lovely. Yeah, and I'm seeing the in the comment area. I think people are asking, what's the best and worst part of GDC?
Ooh, all right, Evan. Thank you for asking that question. Best and worst part? Ooh, that's a tough one. Greg, do you have an answer for this?
I am a sucker for a party. So I think the nights, I think usually Wednesday nights, the major party for most of the big guys. I think that was probably the best part. I think the worst part is coming home and realize that you really just had a week of work that you just missed, and you have to catch up on all that week of
Mm.
work that you've missed. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you. Well, I know it's your same time zone, but it takes me a couple days to catch back up once I land. But it's the whole catch up. It's fun to kind of re-see and remember what you remember, but it's like double the work. Guess the price you pay for having fun.
Oh yeah, I can feel you on that one. I would say the worst part. All right, guys, hear me up. Hear me up. The worst part was definitely GDC nights or GDC night or whatever. Dude, that was lame. So, guys, if you were at GDC, there was like a couple of optional events. They were called GDC night. If you pay an extra, I believe, $50 for each event, they had one on Monday and on Thursday, you could enter GDC night. And then when you see the advertisement, you saw like neon lights, music, a lot of people. And I thought, oh, this is going to be like kind of like a clubby event. We're going to be dancing and having fun and like, like loosen up a little bit because, people are a little bit tense. Maybe they're a little bit introverted. Like, oh, let's go. This is a great event. And then me and Agustin and Ethan, we went to GDC night. And dude, it was so whack. Oh my God. No music.
Really? No music at all? You think they would
Dude,
have?
nah, dude, barely any music. It was like this whole there were some people kind of like playing board games and stuff. It was good. And it was kind of like Day of the Devs. They had like a little section with like indie titles and such. It was cool, but it was not what was advertised. So I would say, and from everyone that I talked to, they said GDC Nights was an L. So I would say that's the worst part, bro. GDC Nights, total L.
Come on, man. After prom, you don't go to the party hosted by the school. It's the same thing for GDC. You don't go to the party hosted by the vendor.
But here's
But
the
I get
thing,
it. That was
Greg.
lame. That's upsetting to hear. There could have been so much more, especially with all the people that were there.
Right, dude. I wanted to hear some music. I wanted to dance. Right, like let's get this party started. But nah, it was just like an L, 100%. In terms of like W's, definitely meeting people like Greg, meeting people in person. That was the best thing. Just having human moments, dude. That's it. That's all that matters.
Kyle Quaid came in with a question here. Talk about what will you do differently next year, Angel? Except
Ooh.
beside not going to GDC nights.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going there. Doing differently next year? That's a good question.
I'll go.
Yes.
Again, it's going to keep hammering on the point that I was with a larger company last year, but this year I made it very much about catching up with old friends and not as much about finding new business for myself. I don't regret it one bit. I think it was very important for me to do what I did, and I had a great time doing it. But next year, I would kind of put a heavier focus on at least equaling it out a bit. I think it's very I equate it to starting a garden because I love gardening, right? Sometimes you have seeds that you want to keep watering. Those are the friends, right? You just want to keep growing that relationship, right? But sometimes you need to go
Yeah.
buy new seeds, right? And I didn't go buy enough new seeds. And next year, that will be one of my focuses on making sure I have a healthy plant of starter seeds as well as new seeds. Sorry, it's going full gardening here, but that's kind of what I would do differently next year.
Interesting. I don't think if I would do anything differently next year. I think it was fun for what I did. I think it how do you say, it met my expectations. I got what I wanted. I don't know if I would do anything differently besides GDC nights. Maybe wearing like a different like a suit used like with different color, maybe like a yellow suit or something like that.
Book your
That's
ticket
it. I
earlier
feel like,
next year. Save a few bucks.
Maybe you can do yellow. I can do maybe like pink, and then we can all become like Power Ranger squad, something like that.
Yeah, we can do the morphosis, right? And just like
But
ding, ding, ding.
dominate
We
the
should
floor.
cosplay. Dude, we should cosplay for next year, guys. We should all be like Power Rangers.
Yeah, yeah. And then like we will walking the line and we'll dominate the floor, right? Like everybody watching us.
Yeah, exactly. And Patrick is our Zordon. So, dude, we got this, bro. We got this. We got this, dude.
Awesome. Yeah, right. I think like we have about 10 minutes left for the show. I want to ask like a kind of wrap up question. Are you guys thinking about going next year?
I don't think any thinking's needed. We will be going next year, right, Angel?
We will be going. Cassandra,
No
you
thinking
too.
needed.
And Patrick, like, where's our Zordon? We need Patrick there, dude.
Awesome. We need the whole lab going, and then we need to like, put our event into that GDC event like website, right? So like we can like all network and meet people, right? We will host our breakfast.
Yes, 100%. Oh, I think something we could have like for next year that could be like really awesome would be
Mhm.
have more like the lab branded events, like Cassandra mentioned, like maybe like a breakfast. And it would be awesome to have like a big ass banner of us and GDC. Like American dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could start at
Oh.
MDev. That one's a more feasible, right? Let's start with like a cupcake before we get the full cake.
Yes. We need that banner, dude. We need that banner, 100%.
We got the banner.
Yeah,
Just hasn't been hung yet.
actually,
like
I think we get the banner.
When
I
do we
think-
get to see the
Yeah.
banner, Cass?
I think it's huge, and I think I'm gonna see it very soon. Which is like gonna mention like when I'm gonna see it. But that'd be awesome. Yeah, we should definitely plan something. Maybe MDev, like awesome. All right,
Cass, how
thank
was
you.
your week?
Oh, sorry.
You had a week without us. How was your week?
Yeah.
My week has been busy. Like I have been watching on LinkedIn, like all of you guys are like posting all the excitement, and I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you guys are having fun. And so that's why I'm like came up with all this question. I'm curious. I want to learn, right? Because I want to participate next year too.
Did you think
wait.
about maybe doing PAX or one of the other indie shows that go around?
Sorry, like I didn't
Do you
hear.
think about ever doing PAX or any of these other indie shows that go around? Has anyone in the chat been to a PAX? I feel like that's more of an indie vibe there.
Yeah, we definitely like like when like you mentioned, like when you go to events like this, you always have a goal, kind of like for your goals it's kind of network, and then as your like consulting business, like as an indie dev, like we wanted to go to every show, and then especially we want to like showcase our show. So like definitely if there's any show, like but from an indie dev like side, going to a show we need to prep. Like we hope that we can actually showcase something. We hope that the best scenario that we will have a booth, then which means we will need to prep before each event. And then like we definitely wanted to go, but we kind of need to like be mindful with the time, because like, oh, should we build a build just for this event, because we're gonna out looking, oh, how many traffic in this event, how many people can stop at our booth, so we might need to customize a build for each event. So that's why like still kind of like this is also strategic planning for indie dev, like to attend all the events. But definitely like I'm doing game news every week, not this week, but I will continue doing that in the future. So I'm like eyeing all these events, and then if there's something that's interesting and worth to go, definitely.
All right. Cass, but hold up. So you said you were looking at our post, seeing our pictures and such. I don't remember like getting a like from you. Like, what's going on?
What is it about because on LinkedIn, do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's the part I need to do better, because like I'm not very actively on LinkedIn, but I should.
No, you're good. You're good. You're totally fine. Just joking.
Yeah, so awesome. I think we have some comments here. Let me. All right, we have Josh went to PAX West last year. It was amazing. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. Yeah, we'll think about it. That's great. Awesome. So I think, it was a great discussion, guys. I love to hear all your experience, and thank you so much, the audience, for participating. And then I think Jessica just follow us as well, right? W, thank you so much. Awesome. So yeah, for our producer, for what's coming next, for our producer, we actually have some videos for you guys for the upcoming events. Well, first of all, I think we have a event coming up in April 11th in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with the Green Bay Blizzard team. I think producer, we have a video.
This episode of The Lab Inside the Game Industry is brought to you by
We're gonna re.
You guys about we have a banner. That's when I will see that banner. I'll be at the event. I will see what's going on there, and then I'll be there alone without you guys. I'll be there alone without. Apparently, according to our producer, is a huge banner. So I'm gonna see I'm gonna take a photo with that banner. So as a reference.
Yeah, they'd be there alone. Patrick's gonna be there. It's gonna be a party, man. There's gonna be more of you there than there were I guess there's 3 and 3. It's kind of the same. But you guys are gonna rock it out there. You pumped?
Yes, totally. We're working really hard to prep, and then very excited to see Patrick soon. We haven't seen him for a while.
Yeah, you can bring a
Heck
builder
yeah.
game.
Yeah. I'm thinking bring our game. Yeah, we are working hard. We might bring a short demo there. Yeah, but you see, there's a game night there, so we're totally excited about to tell people, maybe gain some wish list, right?
What day was that again?
April 11th.
Oh, April 11th.
Green Bay
Blizzard.
Yeah, totally.
All right. How do we learn more about that? Can we go check out Alchemy Labs' website?
Yeah, I believe so. There are information on there. Please check out the website. There are tons of information there.
Sweet. We'll share it with everyone, right?
Awesome. And I believe that we also have a event with Raven coming. If we want to show the information. All right. So yeah, we have exciting events coming, and we will talk more on the future episodes.
All right. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. These wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you for always being awesome, tuning in, asking questions, being a great community. We are very grateful to have you. Thank you so much, as usual.
We are told to keep talking, so we will never end this show. We also, on our screen, you'll see we have the Spring Into Your New Career event. That is going to be a lab special with Amir Satvat. If you're familiar with him, he's a game changer when it comes to helping individuals find their next career, whether it be in gaming or elsewhere. So we're super excited to be talking with him. We are grateful for you all, guys. You all rock. Every week you come back, you make us stronger. We're helping building this thing for you. I'm just going to keep going until I'm told stop, or if someone yells at me to stop. But the power of the community makes this go. And we have all our fans who come back. And we have Sword Brother Soros. Thank you. Chocolate Lover. Thank you. Evans Mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quaid, as always, thank you. You guys are becoming familiar faces. And as we say at conferences, we see the same face over and over again. We see the same names over and over again. So appreciate you. Go on, Hell.
All right. Thank you, guys. W's in chat. Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Bye, guys.